guys, it's Destiny, and in today's video we're discussing my top 24 books of 2024. To say that it's almost 2025 is actually crazy. Like, I can't believe Christmas is in a few days.
Bruh.
Alright, so let's get started. Now, I didn't realize that most of these are 5 stars. I didn't realize I was giving out 5 stars so easily. But here we are. I don't want to discuss it. Hi, Oreo. The first one we have is If You Had Been With Me. I don't know why this is in my top books because I sobbed for so long after I finished this book, and I'm absolutely terrified to read the next one. But I rated it a 5-star nonetheless, so what does that say about me? I don't know. But just know, if you want a good cry, this book will do it. About these teenagers who are neighbors, and they kind of grow apart because they're in different friend groups and whatever, and then they finally like end up being friends again, and you kind of just go through the girl, like the main female character's journey throughout high school. She's trying to find herself and blah blah blah, and something happens at the end that makes you absolutely sob. So if you are expecting a happy ending, don't read this. Okay, don't read this if you want a happy ending, because you won't get it. Next is ACOTAR. Now, I don't have all 5 books on this list because I have not read A Court of Silver Flames yet, and then A Court of Frosted Starlight was just a novella, so I rated it only like a 3-star, I think. But A Court of Thorns and Roses, I rated a 4, and then these two, A Court of Wings and Ruin and A Court of Mist and Fury, I did the opposite. I rated them a 5 each. To say that I love this series is an understatement. I will die for this series. I know I have not finished it, but I am in love with it. So this follows Farah. The first 3 books follow Farah, and then A Court of Frost and Starlight follows everybody, and then A Court of Silver Flames follows Nesta, which is Farah's sister. But anyways, so Farah is a human girl, and she's just trying to provide for her family, and one day something happens, and it really upset the people in the fairy realm. They kind of come kidnap her, and she has to kind of figure out what's going on in the fairy world because she's now kidnapped. End of the book, there's a bunch of like trials and stuff, and obviously it ends on a cliffhanger, and then you keep going. Basically, it's about Farah navigating the fairy world, and you kind of just go on this adventure with her, and you're eating it up because it's absolutely amazing. I know I gave you guys basically nothing, but that's okay. Next is It Ends With Us. I rated this a 5-star. I had read it just before the movie came out because I really wanted to watch the movie, but I really wanted to read the book first, because movies never do the book justice. So I really wanted to know what was going on before I went into the movie. It was really good. Like, this too, I was also crying. So again, I don't know what that says about me, about rating books that I sob with like 4 stars. I don't know, but oh well. This is about Lily and what's his name? Ryle and Atlas. You kind of see Lily fall in love with Ryle in present day, and then you see Lily fall in love with Atlas in her past. So it is like dual timeline, sort of. Something happens in the present day, and Atlas is back in the picture, sort of. You need to check your trigger warnings because there is abuse, there is gaslighting, there is a lot of emotional topics in this book. So please check your trigger warnings before going into this book, because it made me emotional, because I've been through this situation as well. Not to that extent, but I have been in a similar situation, and it made me emotional. Not to the point where I'm not going to read it and whatever, but I just don't want you guys to put yourself in a situation where you're not okay because you're reading this. Your mental health is the first priority, so please make sure that you are mentally okay to jump into this book before you do. She goes through an abusive relationship, and yeah, a lot of things happen. I resonated with Lily a lot, so I loved this book, and I loved watching the movie. I was tearing up during the movie as well. So yeah. Next is Finding and Keeping 13. Are we really surprised? I mean, I was raving about this book in my other video, in my book tag, so, again, I was sobbing, with these books, so, yeah. But I rated them both a 5-star. Now, if you guys are hesitant to go into this series because you're like, these books are huge, you're right, they are. But they deserve to be. Like, I wish they were longer. I do. I really do. Anyways, so there's Binding and Keeping 13. These are the first 2 books. And these 2 books are about the same couple. So it follows Johnny and Shannon. And basically they're teenagers. They're in high school and whatever. And Shannon was heavily bullied at her old school. Okay? To the point where she was getting beat up and whatever. So then her mom decided to transfer her to Tommen College. Tommen School. I think it's called Tommen College, but like that means like they're still in high school though. I'm pretty sure. I don't remember. Don't come for me. She gets transferred to Tommen, and on her first day she meets Johnny because he kicked a rugby ball really hard and it hit her in the head and whatever. Anyways, this book is incredibly like emotional. There's a lot of hard topics as well, so please check your trigger warnings as well for these 2 books, because Shannon, her home life is not great. She has an abusive father and her mother is doing nothing about it and whatever. So please check your trigger warnings because there's abuse in this one as well. But anyways, so yeah, these follow Johnny and Shannon, and they kind of have to keep the relationship a secret from her parents. And then Johnny finds out all of these things that are happening, and he's trying to help her and her siblings as well, because she has a bunch of siblings. And that's all I'm going to say, because I kind of want you guys to go into this pretty much blindly. I go into every single book blindly. Don't expect me wanting you guys to not do the same thing, because I do that all the time. If you guys are hesitant to go into this series just because of how long they are, I promise you it is worth every freaking second, and you're going to want the books to actually be longer once you're done with them. Like, I'm absolutely upset that I'm not in this world currently. Like, I'm not gonna be able to read anything about Johnny and Gypsy. I mean, Johnny and Gypsy. That too. But Johnny and Shannon ever again. Next is By a Thread by Lucy Score. I rated this a 5-star. It was absolutely amazing. I don't know. Again, a very long book, but it was worth every second. This is about Dominic and Allie. Well, Allie worked at a pizza shop, and she got fired because of Dominic. And Dominic was having lunch with his mother, I think, and she's like the CEO of like a fashion company or whatever, and she was just like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, for like making him fire her. Anyways, Dominic's mom ends up hiring Allie at her fashion firm, and Dominic ends up being her boss, and things happen. It's kind of like an enemies to lovers workplace romance. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. So please read it. I know I'm giving you guys pretty much nothing about these books, but that's because I've read them so long ago that I don't really remember what's going on. But I'm planning on getting a reading journal for 2025, so then I could actually like write down what I want to say to you guys if I want to talk about these books. So please be patient with me, okay? Next is Powerless, Powerful, and Reckless by Lauren Roberts. I don't have my Powerless, Reckless. I don't have my Powerless copy on me because my cousin has it. I let her borrow it so she can read it. I rated Powerless 5 stars, Powerful 5 stars, and then Reckless 4 stars. But it's still a 5-star series so far. I can't wait for Fearless to come out. You don't even know. But anyways, so this is about Peyton. She's an ordinary in this world full of elites. And Kai, he's an elite. And basically this whole time she's hiding... Well, in Powerless, she's hiding her identity as an ordinary. Because if you're an ordinary, you get killed off. That's just the way the world works, you know? Anyways, she meets Kai, and he's very intrigued by her because he's like, I can't sense her power. Because his power is, like, being able to, like, possess, like, other people's powers. Like, he can use other people's powers. Anyways, and he couldn't do that with Peyton. But she's playing it off as she's just, like, a... what is it called? Someone who can, like, tell people's futures or something. A fortune teller? No, that's not right. Anyways, she's, like, playing it off that she has a power that, like, can't be possessed by other people. She saves Kai from another elite, and people nominated her to go into these trials. And so she has to go... She basically moves to the castle because she's in these trials now, and things happen, and I absolutely sobbed in that book as well because I'm a crier. What can I say? Powerful is the novella between the two books, and this is is her name Adina? Yeah, this is in Adina's point of view of basically what happens to her while Peyton is in the trials and stuff. And I got emotionally destroyed by this book. I'm not even lying. When I was reading this, like towards the end of it, I was sobbing and I could not speak. Like, my boyfriend was like, what's wrong with you? What's going on? And I'm like, I couldn't even tell him what was wrong because, like, what? And then you go into Reckless and you're back in Peyton's point of view, and she's basically running away from Kai because something happened in Powerful, and now she's on the run. I rated it a 4-star because there was a lot of repetitiveness in this book, but I still ate it up. So, I don't know. But there was a lot of repetitiveness, and I was kind of just like, okay, get to the point. But I'm still very excited for Fearless. Next is Say You Swear by Megan Brandy. I also rated this a 5-star. It's absolutely amazing. I'm not going to give you much about this book because I want you to go into it blindly. Everyone and their mother has told me to go into this book blindly, and I did, and I do not regret it whatsoever. But I'm just going to tell you that it is a love triangle, but don't let that steer you away from this book, because I tend to not like any love triangles. That's like one of my least favorite tropes. But I still love this book. Obviously, I rated it a 5. But that's all I'm gonna say. You are also gonna cry. Sorry, not sorry. What can I say? I love crying. Next is Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. This is my first book from this author that I've read, and I fell in love with her writing, okay? I don't know what it is, but I just loved it. I loved how she wrote, like, their relationship, and also, like, so this is about, who is it? Brianna and Jacob, and they're both nurses, or a nurse and a doctor, whatever. They both work at the hospital. Oh yeah, Jacob gets transferred to the hospital that Brianna works. I don't remember why, but he gets transferred, and everyone is kind of hesitant to befriend him because on his first day, a good amount of patients already died, and so they called him Dr. Death. Anyways, and then Brianna is basically struggling throughout this book because her brother needs a kidney transplant, or else he's gonna die, I think. Oh, and she's also getting a divorce. So her life is going to shit. And I don't really know what's happening with Jacob, but anyways, Jacob has social anxiety and stuff, and she wrote this, like, super well. Like, she wrote his anxiety very well, and I felt it. And with someone who has social anxiety, I connected so deeply with Jacob and how he was feeling, and I just loved the way that she wrote it. And then the way that she was writing their relationship was just amazing. And yeah, I rated it a 5-star as well. So I don't know, the way that she writes, she's a genius. Next is the 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. I also rated this a 5-star. It was so good, and this is the type of book that literally during, like, while I was reading this book, I was like, I think I'm gonna reread this, like, every year. I think this is a book that I'm gonna reread all the time because it is so good. I was looking at this cover and I was like, oh, this gives me fall vibes. It's not a fall book. It's definitely a summer one. But I was still okay. Like, you can read it anytime. It's just set in the summer. But anyways, this is about Clementine, and her aunt just passed away. Clementine inherits the apartment that her aunt lived in and that she basically grew up in. And basically throughout her whole childhood, her aunt was like, this apartment is magical and blah blah blah. And obviously, like, when she was younger, she believed it, and as she grew up, she was like, my aunt is just crazy. So then she starts to live in this apartment, and then she starts to believe her aunt because the apartment travels 7 years into the past. And one day, like, she's having a hard day and whatever, she goes into the apartment, she passes out, wakes up, and a guy is just there, and she's like, what the hell is going on? And then she figures out that she's actually 7 years in the past. So we got a traveling apartment, is what I'm saying. Time traveling apartment. Next is Caught Up and Play Along by Liz Tom Ford. I loved this entire series, don't get me wrong, I did. But these two were the best, in my opinion. Caught Up and Play Along, they're the last two that are out right now. There's another one coming out soon in 2025. So all sports romances. I think Mile High is hockey, The Right Move is basketball, and then these two are baseball. And I think the next book is going to be hockey. I rated them both a 5-star. Caught Up is about Kai and Miller, and basically Kai is a baseball player and he's a single dad, And Miller is a baker, but she started getting burnout and whatever. She went to go visit her dad. And then her dad was like, oh, this is perfect. You're going to become a nanny for one of my guys' kids. And then Kai keeps firing every single nanny that he gets because no one is good enough for his son. Okay? And also, the kid in this book is actually super cute. I know a lot of people are like, sometimes the kids are just so annoying. This kid, the cutest thing in the world. Like, I don't know what to tell you. But anyway, so this is single dad, nanny, romance, enemies to lovers? Not really. Like, they're sort of enemies at the beginning, because like their first interaction was not great. But and then play along. This is about Kennedy and Isaiah, and basically Isaiah is Kai's brother. So anyways, he's on the same baseball team, and Kennedy is the she's a part of the staff. Like, she's, oh my god, she helps the guys whenever they're injured and stuff. And basically, Isaiah fell in love with Kennedy as soon as she got hired, like 3 years ago, I think. And so he's been pining after her for literally ever, and she's like, no, because she doesn't want to lose her job, and she's also a woman on staff, and one of the, like, the guy that hired her is very sexist, is what I'm trying to say. And so she's trying not to jeopardize anything and blah, blah, blah. One night, they're both in Vegas for some weird reason. And they get super drunk together and they accidentally get married. So this is fake marriage. And Isaiah literally is always just pining after Kennedy, and it's so good. Next is Wildfire and Daydream by Hannah Grace. I also liked Icebreaker, but not as much as these two. Like, a lot of people did not like Icebreaker at all. But anyways, these two, I rated them both 5 stars. It was absolutely amazing. And they're hockey romances. Wildfire is about Aurora and Russ. Russ is this golden retriever boy, you know, and Aurora is not. I'm just kidding. They end up having a one-night stand, and Russ, I think, is like in love with her literally after, and whatever, but she slips away and he never got her full name, so he's like, I'll never see her ever again. And then they both end up working at the same summer camp. Aurora's kind of trying to avoid Russ at all costs and whatever, but then they end up being in like the same group, taking care of the same kids. So yeah, and he has a lot of anxiety as well, I think. He's not a very social person, and he's very socially awkward. That's all I'm gonna say. Daydream is about Henry and Hallie, and basically Hallie is a book girly, and she ends up, I think, doing like a book club or whatever, and Henry is just there with a friend, I think. Okay, so she's trying to write a book, and she has no experience in like dating really, or anything romantic really. So here comes Henry, who he's offered to help Hallie experience a relationship. So they're basically fake dating, because he's like helping her by taking her out on dates and stuff like that. In exchange, she's gonna help him with school, because he's the new team captain and he's struggling with school, and they're like, if you're gonna keep struggling with school, you're not gonna be team captain. So she helps him, he helps her. It was so cute because she's also like very socially awkward and stuff, and she's a book girly, and I was like, this is me. I love this. Next is the Knock 'Em Out trilogy by Lucy Score. These are the special editions. I absolutely love them. Like, they're gorgeous. Anyways, I rated the first 2 4 stars and then the last one 5 stars. Now, don't ask me what's going on in these books because I don't really remember. But These are small town romances. This one's Naomi and Knox, and I think this one is an enemies to lovers. She's a single mom, sort of. One day, Naomi gets called up to go to this town called Knockemout from her sister, her twin sister. And she shows up there, and her sister's nowhere to be found. And there's just a child. And apparently it's her sister's child. And now she has to take care of her. And here comes Knox, and he's yelling at her the first time he sees her. And she's like, I don't even know who you are. And he's like calling her by her twin sister's name. And she's like, I'm not her. Like, that's my twin sister. Anyways, so he kind of helps her out with taking care of this kid. And yeah. Okay, so this is Lena and Nash. Nash is Knox's brother. And Lena... I don't know what happens with Lena. I know what happens, but Nash is a cop. Like the sheriff in town. And Lena's Lena. I don't really remember what happens in this one. And then this one is Lucian and Sloane. I know that because I love them. It's a second chance romance / enemies to lovers. Lucian and Sloane used to be friends when they were kids because they were neighbors and stuff. And something happens. So they started liking each other and stuff, and I think they started dating when they were kids. But then something happens where Sloane does something, and Lucian just did not forgive her. And basically, he moved away. She stayed there. She's a librarian. And then he comes back because he's friends with Knox and Nash. And he comes back and they hate each other, okay? Throughout the whole, the other two books, you see that they absolutely hate each other. And, yeah. Then they end up talking about what happened. And, they rekindle things. So, next is Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I also rated this a 5-star. This was amazing. This is about Justin and Emma. So basically, Emma is a travel nurse, and Justin's Justin. I don't know. Anyways, Justin one day posted a Reddit thread of just how unlucky he is, and basically about how every time him and a girl break up, that girl ends up falling in love with someone else, and that is her soulmate. And Emma sees this, and she's like, oh my god, I have the same problem. So she responds to it and says that, and then they end up texting each other, and Justin ends up thinking this idea of, what if we date each other and then break up, and then we'll find our soulmates naturally. And she's just like, well, I'm going here for a few months because I'm a travel nurse, and your area has never been on my list of going there. So, and you're a stranger. So, anyways, one thing leads to another. She ends up being in the same town as him, but she ends up actually being like, actually, I do want to see where this, what can happen. So instead of going to where she was going to go, she goes to his city, and they date just for the summer. Now, my last two books are A Good Girl's Guide to Murder and Good Girl Bad Blood by Holly Jackson. I did not put the last book on this list because if you watched my end of year book tag, you'll know why. I did not enjoy that book that much. But these two, they were great. I rated them both 4 stars. I think they might be a 5-star, actually, but I did originally rate them 4 stars. Anyways, this follows our main girl, Pip. She decides for a school project to solve this cold case in her small town of Andy Bell. So basically, Andy Bell disappeared and is dead, and then her boyfriend committed suicide, claiming that he's the one that did it. And Pip is like, there's something not right here, like that can't be the truth. So you basically go through the entire book with her like solving this case. Like she goes to investigate things, she collects information, she does interviews and whatever, and she also recruits Sal's brother. Like Sal is the guy that committed suicide, claiming that he killed the girlfriend. Oh, anyways, so his brother is Ravi, and Ravi obviously doesn't think that this happened either. So they work together. And then Good Girl Bad Blood is after she solved this case, she creates a podcast. So she's doing the damn thing. She's doing this podcast and whatever. And then her friend comes to her and is like, this guy's missing and whatever, which is one of her friends as well. So then she kind of just solves another case of trying to find her friend while also doing this podcast. Like she's solving the case on the podcast. That is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope you got some recs from these 24 books. I know I did not give you guys a lot of information, but that's just because I read them so long ago. I tried to give you as much as I possibly could that I can think of without also spoiling anything. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace.